Hi, so can living in a place that's very supportive of a particular, more sustainable mode of transport change a person? Particularly, can it change me? So to explain, all the videos on this channel used to be about my UK Hyundai IONIQ Electric as a very sort of more sustainable form of car, and my kind of favourite way of getting around after I had a Nissan Leaf before that for almost 4 years. And yeah, then I kind of had to sell it and I moved from the UK to Denmark. And up to that point, there was one video about cycling on my channel, and that was mainly me going through a process where I was going to introduce my Hyundai IONIQ Electric to my friends in the UK and kind of show them how it was, the best way of getting around, really the best form of transport, lower environmental footprint, quiet, comfortable, that kind of thing. Now, Maria that I was interviewing there, she had her own opinions. That's good thing. And was sort of convinced that cycling was a way to get around, and not too convinced by the kind of expense and owning possessions and things of having a car and all the kind of liabilities, I guess, that come with that. Now, since then, I've moved. The car is gone. I've been looking at other electric cars. It's a slow process here in Denmark for lots of reasons, with a family coming, settling in, starting new work, that kind of thing. But then I've realized, being here, I'm surrounded by bicycles day in, day out. My kind of honeymoon period with the buses is sort of over. This week in particular, the bus driver on one of the buses, as I was taking my 4-year-old son to his kindergarten, closed the doors on my son's head twice, not just once, but twice. I've complained about that officially. We'll see what happens. And it's sort of rush hour time with kids on buses here. Not great. I think when I first arrived, it was kind of like summertime bus arrangements. Not many students around, not many people around at rush hour, and it's difficult getting around with young ones and in a pushchair or whatever at rush hour, as you might expect. But still, it's that makes the bus travel not so much fun, and the buses don't take the sort of point-to-point route. They go all over the place, and we have to change because of where the two children are going and things. So yeah, the buses are fine, I guess, and they're still better than the UK, I would say. But kind of honeymoon period of thinking that they're the best thing ever. I don't think I really thought that, but anyway, that feeling is gone. In the UK, I would never, ever, ever have thought about cycling for fun, for commuting to work, for moving my family around, for shopping. Just no, absolutely no. Most of my friends when I lived in London in the kind of mid-1990s had arms broken and big accidents and things because the cycle infrastructure in the UK in London at that time was not very good. It's probably a bit better now, but still not very good. In Manchester, similarly, a good friend of mine, actually a friend from Denmark, hit a pothole so big in Manchester that he sued the council, and that affected his attitudes about cycling, and he had 2 kind of sprained arms for a very long time and couldn't work. Yeah, so I didn't have a very positive view of cycling at all, and I hadn't really paid much attention to electric cycles. But since I've got here, it's kind of interesting because I'm not used to a place having a kind of positive attitude to something, or having a kind of progressive attitude to something in terms of having plans and goals to kind of, what is already a fairly good infrastructure for cycling here, it seems. I'm coming in from the outside. I'm probably a bit naive about, what it actually is like. But they seem to be wanting to improve it. So there's all kind of goals here to the level of cycling in Aarhus compared to nationwide in Denmark is already very high. They want it to increase by another 20% or so by 2021. And they have like a kind of 11-part goal, at least in one 2017 document that I've seen, to kind of do all sorts of things to, make it better, to make the signposting better, clearing in, so it becomes possible to cycle all year round. All this kind of things. Nothing doesn't matter the details of it. They're also kind of, converting some routes to be smoother or more interesting for cyclists downtown and other places. They have an extensive cycle network around the city, so you don't just have to cycle around the city, but maybe between some of the towns outside, and recreational routes. So overall, it's just very good. It's a very kind of supportive feeling about it, and I think it is beginning to change me, because I don't know now how strongly I feel about replacing the IONIQ Electric. Pretty much when I arrived here 3.5 months ago, I wanted to replace it almost immediately. I hadn't been on a cycle in 20 years, as I've said a few times in previous videos, and I didn't have much interest in cycling at all. I thought I'd give it a go with that rental bicycle for a bit, and that wasn't particularly convincing. But then I tried out some electric bikes, and now I'm thinking maybe, something for shopping and taking the family to, taking the kids to school, and then maybe some kind of touring bicycle for fun and enjoying things. Because I realized that, it's sort of getting around and seeing the countryside and things like that. a lot of my driving in the UK in the Hyundai IONIQ Electric, at least when I wasn't commuting, was actually just about going around and seeing places. But the kind of feature of a car, for me at least, might be the same for you, is that it's a sort of A to B thing. So an electric car for me was kind of A to B with the lowest environmental impact and with the least noise, with the smoothest ride, no vibration, none of the hassle of gears and so on. Nice instant response, one pedal driving, that kind of thing. I've made videos about all these kind of characteristics of why I like driving the IONIQ Electric particularly so much, and other electric cars. And but you're not really it's nice that you're going quietly through the scenery, but still the scenery is a kind of means to an end, so to speak. And I think cycling is you're a bit more out there, you're in the environment. And so I think I've changed. I think, not to make this video overly long going on about this, because I still don't actually own a bicycle for myself as yet. I'm still looking at different ones. I've been looking at these Coast Cycles ones with fat tires, and I went out on a ride on a Brinckers brand bicycle. It can get a 750 watt-hour battery to get a range pretty much like my Nissan Leaf, the kind of Gen 1.5 24 kilowatt-hour Nissan Leaf. You can get electric bicycles with that kind of range or more, some of the kind of higher end ones. So there's a change going on, I think, and I think that's a good thing, because even though I do like electric cars still, and I may still get one because it's a lot easier to move the family around and go places, there's something about a cycle that's even lower footprint and, even lower emissions, really, I guess, in the life cycle of it. And it's still sort of zero tailpipe emissions in use. There's a little bit of sound from the electric drivetrain on these bicycles, but it's very kind of low in environmental footprint in use, at least. Still got batteries and some of the issues around that and how you charge them, obviously. But I think it's a good development. I think it's really made a difference. And again, Brexit issues all aside, to move from somewhere where things don't feel particularly supportive of either electric cars or bicycles, electric bicycles, whatever, to Denmark, where I think still there's not much support for electric cars here. And I think there's problems with charging infrastructure, charging pricing of cars, parking, all sorts of things. But at least there is this very supportive attitude for bicycles, and there seems to be some leeway around electric bicycles and some of the faster speed pedelecs and things that you could use for touring vehicles, for going much further with like I say, the one thing I'd say about this Brinckers one I tried is because you have this law here about capping out at 25 kilometers an hour when riding them, about 15 miles an hour. That's not very fast, actually. It's probably safe, but it's not very fast in terms of the feeling of it. You imagine you had all the characteristics of an electric car, of the good torque and the instant response and so on, and then it sort of cut out at about 30 miles an hour. You'd notice that. And I certainly noticed it on this bike, and it made me think maybe, I want something utilitarian for going around doing various things, shopping, taking family, taking the kids, and then something a bit more that kind of replaces some of the feeling of just going out and enjoying the countryside, enjoying the environment that I used to do in my IONIQ Electric when I used to just wander and use the range of the car and not worry too much about, the kind of environmental footprint of it, and just kind of enjoy life a bit. So, so a bit of a quick update this week. I'm still thinking about electric cars at some point. There hasn't been much time to look into that again. But the bicycles I'm still working on. I'm still thinking what to do with that, and hopefully there'll be some news on that soon. And we'll see where that goes. I have got some other sort of inquiries in place with some companies. There's this firm in Sweden that make vehicles, kind of cargo vehicles, electric four-wheel recumbent cargo bikes, as it were, for DHL and other companies. And they look really interesting. They don't do officially passenger versions yet, and they're not planning to. There's a few companies, one called Kaygo, that's doing a kind of more advanced cargo bike. And of course, there's other ones I've mentioned before, like the biohybrid. So there's things underway, and I'm just kind of thinking about not plonking down a huge sum of money on an ICV, giving myself a bit more financial flexibility to, explore the bicycles a bit more. I may end up hating it. Going into winter, I think would be good kind of YouTube material to see what that's actually like for me, for my kids moving around. If it turns out bad, we just sell it, get an EV, no problem. Maybe a second-hand IONIQ Electric, as people have been suggesting. Maybe some of the new ones coming out in 2020. But it gives us a bit of a stopgap to think, to try things out, to see what it's actually like to try out cycling and things of different forms of bikes. So anyway, so the sort of videos will continue as I go through this process, and thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. And again, I look tired. That's just unavoidable at the moment, but I'm in good spirits. So thanks, and bye for now.